You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
Let's blast and take decks in our cars. 80s dreams and 90s haze. Let's recall back to our favorite days. Welcoming days.
Hello and welcome to Totally 80s and 90s Recall. Are you eager to go back in time to the radical decades of the 80s and 90s? If so, then a more perfect podcast you could not find. If you're new to the show, we're thrilled that you've discovered us. And to all of our loyal listeners and subscribers, it's awesome to have you back. I am one of your hosts, David, joined as always by a man who absolutely loves smooth, easy listening rock with a hint of jazz and R&B. It is my easy, breezy friend, Rob.
103.6, the Panda.
That's perfect. Today's intro comes to us in the form of a letter from a gentleman named Rupert.
Nice.
He writes, Dear Dave and Rob, I wanted to share a story that I hope will inspire your listeners. So it all began when I had become tired of my lady. We had been together too long, like a worn-out recording of a favorite song. So one night, while she was laying there sleeping, I was reading the paper in bed, and in the personal columns, there was this letter that read, If you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, if you're not into yoga, if you have half a brain, if you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape, then I'm the love that you have been looking for. Write me and escape. Ah. Well, after reading that personal ad, I didn't think about my lady. I know that sounds kind of mean, but me and my old lady had fallen into the same old dull routine. So I did the only logical thing. I wrote to the paper and took out a personal ad. And though I am nobody's poet, I thought it wasn't half bad. I wrote, Yes, I like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. I'm not much into health foods. I am into champagne. I've got to meet you by noon tomorrow and cut through all this red tape. So I suggested this little bar down the street called O'Malley's where we'd plan our escape. So I waited with high hopes, and she walked in the place. I knew her smile in an instant. I knew the curve of her face. It was my own lovely lady. And she said, Oh, it's you. Then we laughed for a moment. We're laughing. And I said, I never knew that you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, the feel of the ocean, and the taste of champagne. If you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape, you're the lady I've been looking for to escape. Now, if you walk away from today's episode hearing nothing, at least hear this. If you like pina coladas, if you like getting caught in the rain, if you're not into yoga, if you have half a brain, if you're not into health food, if you're into champagne, or if you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape, let's cut through all this red tape because this is the podcast that you've been looking for.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I got to tell you about that letter.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because they both took out personal ads
Yes.
to find other mates.
And they ran into each other.
Then they ran into each other
It's
by pure happenstance.
Yeah, it's serendipitous.
They were willing to cheat on the other person.
We can look past that.
I mean,
Yeah,
that doesn't, I don't know.
yeah.
Rupert's got a complicated thing going on.
It is complicated.
Him
It
and
worked
his,
out in the end, though.
Yeah, him and his lady got a weird thing.
And they,
By the way, making love, dunes of the Cape, a lot of sand. You're going to be cleaning out
can't get sand.
cracks for weeks. Everywhere. Gets everywhere. I go to the beach and just sit on the beach and I have sand everywhere. So I can't imagine.
Let alone rolling around.
Yeah. And that one blanket you put down is not going
to help.
to prevent anything from happening. So, well, I hope it all works out for you,
Yeah,
Rupert.
yeah,
Sounds like you're on a.
Well, it sounds like it did work out for them.
We'll see. If they took out personal
planned
ads,
their escape.
if they took out personal ads once, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen again. Right? That's probably not a one-time thing. So, who knows?
My favorite part of that is her reaction. Oh, it's you.
Oh, it's you. Exactly.
Yeah.
She was very disappointed. Well, I think I saw a picture of Rupert once. I can understand.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's get away from Rupert for a few minutes. Let's let him live his life. And why don't you tell our fans, what we'll be covering on this week's episode?
We are talking about 1980s yacht slash soft rock.
Soft rock, as it was known in the 80s, Rob. Now deemed yacht rock. I did some research. It was kind of named Yacht Rock. A 2005 web series came out, and I watched all of this web series. It's a bunch of guys who were being funny about, they liked the music, but they were being funny about like the yacht rock or soft rock era. Well, they called it Yacht Rock because they're like, you get on a boat with your friends, you're drinking some beers. It's a nice, easy, breezy day, and this is music that, you know, doesn't bother you. It's nice and it doesn't hurt the ears.
Yeah.
It's a soft, radio-friendly genre of music, also referred to as adult contemporary.
Yes.
Sometimes this style of music, because of its ease of listening, would be heard in office settings, elevators, doctors' offices, pretty much any public place, as you'd be confident the music would not offend or upset anybody, right?
Yes.
The genre that became soft rock originated in the late 1960s. Southern California and the UK. It was a nice California sound. So I looked up the bands considered the kings or essential musicians of soft / yacht rock. And here's what the internet told me. You may have found some of this in your research, so jump in if I miss anything. So Steely Dan.
Oh, yes.
Toto.
Oh, yeah.
Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
Who, as you'll see, is all over this genre.
I read that he is considered the godfather of yacht rock.
There's some arguments for that, right? Kenny Loggins, who's at least an underboss. Christopher Cross, who's also an underboss.
Yeah.
Hall & Oates fell into that category.
I was
for some
surprised to
songs.
hear about Hall & Oates,
I would say some of their 70s stuff kind of sounded like that area.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, they started to get a little more of that 80s pop.
I actually found one site that had like 50 yacht rock songs. They had them ranked.
Yeah.
And Hall & Oates was the number one.
Which one was it?
It was
Sarah Smile?
It might have been.
Might have been.
But yeah, it was. I was not expecting Hall & Oates. I thought, for sure, Michael McDonald's.
The late 70s Hall & Oates had a little more of the smoothness to it. And then in the 80s, they went a little more pop, right? So, and finally, the Doobie Brothers.
Oh, yeah, they were all.
So they were well before everyone. So, well, there's no one person known I couldn't find to have coined the term soft rock. But basically, because that's what it was called before.
It was, I can't go for that.
I can't go for that.
That was the article I read. It said it was 20. They ranked 20 of their top.
Oh.
This was from smoothradio.com.
And they Smooth Radio.
And Hall & Oates made number one.
If you were a DJ on that station, is that
Smooth
how you have to
Radio?
You ever talk back to Smooth Radio? You can't get too excited.
Yeah, Michael McDonald was only number 2.
No, we're not going to talk about that. We'll get to Mike in a little bit. So, but anyway, the term soft rock. Basically, hard rock had come up in the late 60s, and rock bands who didn't fall into that category or weren't as loud or considered cool were lumped into a softer rock category, later shortened to soft rock. The songs in this category were popular, but it wasn't until 1973 that a Los Angeles radio station changed its format to all soft rock as a counter to the traditional rock stations. It gave adults a contrasted style of music they could listen to with the hard rock movement going on. The soft rock genre's heyday ended about 83, they're saying, when most stations just went top 40 due to the success of MTV. They were not playing this style of music at all. So MTV somewhat buried soft rock. And even though some bands still play this style, it didn't have the same allure anymore and became relegated to like AM dials or, again, the dentist's office.
Yeah.
You know, destined to be adult contemporary for life. This is what happened.
Okay, so it wasn't a dentist's office, but the whole time I was planning this, when I was in high school, I worked at a grocery store.
Yes.
And this is the music that played.
Yeah.
I don't know what station it was. It wasn't a station because it was just repeated. So I don't know what they had at the time. It was some kind of a station that they subscribed to or something. But this is what they played. So a lot of these songs, I'm like, I remember this.
Yeah.
Because this would have been, 90s, early 90s.
Correct.
Mid to early 90s.
Yeah.
And the people that are grocery shopping are my parents.
Yes.
Right? Age.
Yeah.
So the music that's playing is directed towards the age of the shoppers. And so this soft rock type music would have been what was right in their wheelhouse. And it was on the radio all the time.
Well, I think also they
coming
play
through the
it,
loudspeaker.
Yeah. I think also they play it because when you
calming.
play this, calming. But again, it's not offensive at any time, right?
True.
So if you play top 40, you still risk Madonna's Like a Prayer popping on or some kind of weird song like that. And then you're going to have parents be like, what is this jibber jabber?
While we're we're picking out cereal and you got Like a Virgin playing in the back.
Or like, exactly. Like a Virgin.
Yeah.
Salt and Peppers Push It pops
We're
up.
not gonna take it.
Yeah, exactly. So But
That's
if you
good.
play the soft rock station, easy breezy. We're gonna get some Fleetwood Mac. We're gonna get some Eagles.
Non-offensive. Yeah.
We're gonna
I
get
like
some nice, easy music.
I like it.
That you're picking out a Campbell's soup can. You're like Hotel California.
In my notes, I put the Yacht Rock playlist on Spotify has nearly 700,000 followers, and Sirius Radio has a whole station called Yacht Rock.
It's
so
great.
it's a thing. It's a huge thing.
Well, and the issue now is, what is Yacht Rock, right?
Mhm.
Because everyone has their version of what they think Yacht Rock is, or the bands that fall into it. Because again, we talk about Hall & Oates. Some people would say, well, they're not Yacht Rock. They're not like Toto or something like that. And then other people are like, oh no, they're definitely right in that. So there's a lot of conversation we have is, what is even, like, some songs you label Yacht Rock, other people could go, well, that's not. I actually watched the thing on YouTube and these two people are arguing. That guy's like, that is a regular good R&B song. That's not a Yacht Rock song. And I'm like, I can see the argument on both sides.
I found an article that was called Yacht or Not.
There you go.
Spelled N-Y-A-C-H-T.
And why?
Yeah. Yacht or Not. Yacht Rock. Yeah.
Well, I saw there were some discussions on what doesn't fall in that category. So
I found a website that actually had all the songs listed, and then across the top was some kind of a scoring device. I don't know how they did it. And it changed color. And if it was green, it was Yacht Rock. If it was orange, kind of down to the red category, it was not Yacht Rock.
Yacht, yeah.
And so, like, I can't even remember what the top one was, but it was green, all 100% across. So there's websites dedicated. People are putting a lot of time into whether or not something is Yacht Rock.
It's a big subject, right?
It is.
Well, I'm going to tell you this music, you have your grocery store memories about it. Well, it holds a very memorable place for me. I grew up on this music.
Oh, sure.
Because my mom listened to this. I remember she listened to like the KGW AM station in Portland. Every time I was in the car, 70s and 80s soft rock. So I grew up on bands like Chicago, Lionel Richie, Christopher Cross, Michael McDonald, others. So when we're on this podcast for the last year and a half and I bring up, ooh, I love Steve Winwood, ooh, Chicago, that's because that's what I listened to when I was a kid, right? So I will say my favorite thing was later in life. Remember those commercials for Time Life?
Yes.
You would have these commercials it'd be in the middle of the night, and they'd have these soft rock infomercials, and they were hosted by those guys from Air Supply, which, by the way, Air Supply, I love soft rock. They're even a little too fluffy for me. There's just it's too sentimental. Like, I can't get past it. So I never got all the compilation discs, but I wanted them. I would watch that infomercial and just be like, I want all of these songs.
Now, for the first time ever, all the most unforgettable soft rock hits are together. Time Life proudly presents the classic soft rock
It'd be like
collection.
2 in the morning. You're just on the couch because you can't sleep.
It's so funny how we don't talk anymore.
You relive all the memories from Top 40 Radio and your favorite 45.
See, I remember this
You'll
commercial.
get 168 original soft rock hits
I remember
by
this
artists
song.
like Christopher Cross,
I'll tell you the part that I remember the most. I don't know why.
Skaggs, Hall & Oates, and the Doobie Brothers.
So, the parents at that time were going, oh, this is good.
I thought it was
Little
good.
Seals and Croft.
I wasn't even a parent at that time, and I thought it was good. I was in my 20s. I'm like, this is amazing.
Right here. I remember that part, and that wake up.
Not a Rod Stewart fan myself, but yeah.
See, I wouldn't have thought he was Yacht Rock.
Yeah, I didn't think so
Nope.
either, but they threw it right on there.
Yep, he's in there.
So, well, I think again you go back to what was originally soft rock, which it just wasn't hard rock. So anything could fall in that soft rock adult contemporary category. Now, since 2005, people have dedicated what the yacht rock version of it is that California smooth sound.
Yeah.
And, all that stuff.
And I found that I think what you're saying about it wasn't hard rock.
Yeah.
I think for me, a lot of songs I picked were songs that were hard to classify.
Yeah, of course you did.
And that's why they were. That's why I think they had to find this category that they could put people in.
That's
because,
right. We would expect nothing less.
It wasn't pop.
So.
It wasn't rock. I had some jazz in it. It was weird. So anyway.
Well, I will say this episode might be one of our first kind of controversial episodes because I know a lot of people, well, I would say from our listeners, there's probably a fence you stand on where you like soft rock, and there's another side of the fence where you're like, that sucks, like a lot.
No,
right?
this is true.
And so I'm going to say that there's probably going to be people out there that when we play someone's songs, again, I don't even know if all my songs are yacht rock. I just think they fit what I remember as a soft rock, like radio songs. And I think they all fit that category for me real well. And they're all very memorable to when I listened to that radio station with my mom as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I love all that stuff. But I don't even know if it's all yacht rock either.
I don't either.
But I just think there's going to be a fence where people are going to listen and be like, oh my gosh. So it's actually kind of good that you're here today because I'm going to go super soft and because I've been looking forward to this for a while.
I know you have.
And you have not been looking as forward to it because this is not your favorite genre
It's not.
of music.
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not your favorite genre of music.
It's
So
not.
you've been somewhat dreading this. So last week we famously heard you say for montages, I'm least excited about this than any other topic we've done.
Yeah.
Well, this could trump
No, because it's
montages.
music related, so I like it.
Yeah, I
So,
got
mean, it's
that.
fine,
So,
yeah.
but the counterbalance to my
it's true.
laid back,
Yeah.
very soft sounds I'm going to throw at the public today and throw at you is you, I assume, will bend the rules slightly and come up with some songs that I may not think is all that soft.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you have good research and justification as to why you think it falls into that category.
I think,
But if you play Metallica, we're done here.
no,
Right? You
no.
simple-
I
you
think you're
simply
going to
can't
be
play that.
proud of my selection.
Okay. The only
Do you
really,
think we'll have any overlap?
I don't know. I was thinking about it. There's onesie twosie where I'm like, and especially if you were pulling yacht rock playlists, there are some common threads that start to pop out.
Yeah.
So I think I've got some that I don't think you're going to go into that area. And then I'm sure you've got some that I wouldn't even have looked at. But overlap, if there's a one or a two, we'll see.
Okay.
It seems like lately when I've said that, we haven't had any.
Yeah.
But I also, I think you might think you know what I'm going to pick. So you might have avoided some of it.
Yeah.
And there's some of these artists I just think you're going to avoid altogether because I'm pretty sure you don't even really like them that much.
Well, and some I avoided just because if you don't pick them, I'd be shocked. So I was like, I'm just going to let you have it. You're going to go for it.
I'm going to go. I think a couple of them might surprise you.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we're pretty good. So, all right. Well, I think that gets us pretty close to. I'm pushing some buttons here. I'm really stalling for time while I push buttons here because I don't know where a button is. So we have to do the talk amongst yourself thing, right? So,
Well, I'll tell you what my
yeah, you tell me.
what my criteria were.
Yes.
Well, so mostly late 70s or 80s.
Yep.
It's the kind of music one would play on a yacht.
Beautiful.
Not too hard, not too loud,
Beautiful.
not too sad, not too slow.
Love it.
Smooth music that can play in the background while you're sipping wine, talking with some guy wearing a captain's hat, an ascot, and wearing no socks
Nice.
off the coast of Catalina.
I like it.
Closely
Are
associated.
you going to the wine mixer?
No, the Catalina wine. Yeah.
Oh.
Closely associated with adult-oriented rock or AM Gold.
Beautiful.
You talked about that.
Yep.
Not all songs considered adult-oriented rock or AM Gold are yacht rock, though. We talked about that.
I know.
There's
We'll
an
see.
overlap. Not, nor is it exactly easy listening. Elevator
okay.
music either. So you got to be careful. Smooth vocals, soft, mellow, and often falsetto-based.
Beautiful.
Slow tempo, relaxed and unhurried. Simple instrumentation, so primarily acoustic guitar, keyboards, drums, and occasional horns or strings. Clean production, high quality sound with minimal distortion or effects.
Minimal.
Themes of romance and nostalgia, upbeat and carefree. Coastal imagery, not all the time.
Doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt.
Pop rock influences, so you get some elements of soft rock, pop, and disco. Jazz-inspired chords, catchy hooks, and often associated with 80s soft rock. All things we kind of discussed.
I
So
love
that's
it.
kind of what I was looking for. Anyway.
I love it. I think
Are we ready?
we're okay.
Are we ready?
He's giving me the cue, folks. That's my turn. I've written a little thing here, so we're gonna go right to it. Smooth, polished sounds, laid back, relaxed vibes, and melodic vocals and harmonies illustrate that West Coast vibe we're feeling in the studio today. So let's sail and experience some 80s soft rock. We get the just instrumental here. I could provide them.
No, don't do it. Oh. That came much later than I thought it would.
Yeah, no, it's going to be here all day. If anyone tuned in for Michael McDonald impersonations,
This is your time.
you're in the right spot. Yeah, so I love that song. What a Fool Believes.
Yeah.
Doobie Brothers, unfortunately 1976. So
Yeah.
it doesn't qualify for our countdown.
Yeah.
Because the only rule I gave you was just the song had to be from the 80s.
Mhm.
So I gave you a real flexible area. So, well, as excited as I am about this topic, because I am literally excited, it is with some reservation and reluctance Rob has put together his list of songs. In fact, we have a soundbite that I think really just illustrates exactly our positions on this topic today.
Yeah, Brad's right. I'm not really into smooth jazz. I shouldn't comment.
Nobody's into smooth jazz.
I'm into smooth jazz.
Of course you are, Brad.
So in this case, I would be Brad.
Yeah.
And so you would be not Brad.
Nobody's into
smooth jazz.
Yeah.
So, well, hopefully through the research and preparation, we've been able to turn his opinion around. But if not, it'll be fun to watch him be tortured today. We always enjoy that.
No.
So we've each got our top 7 must-have soft/yacht rock hits with a few extras.
Yeah.
So Rob, I know you're stoked to get this going, but we're going to switch it up a little this week.
Yeah.
Since I love this topic, and I rarely do this, I'm going to go first.
All right.
This week. I'm gonna select my songs first. Usually we
Okay.
have a good rhythm of you, me, you, me.
Yeah, that's fine.
But this week I'm gonna upset the rhythm.
That's all right.
And I think that even kind of violates the script I wrote, but I just wanted to do it.
I think that fits with the
with the vibe of what
yeah, because it's hard to categorize. You flip it up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So all right. So that means I'm gonna get us going.
All right.
So my number 7 song was written and performed by Joe Jackson, but not Michael and Tito's dad, Rob. An English musician with the same name and much less of a temper. And it was inspired by his time spent in New York City.
I know this song.
Oh, yeah, you do. Everyone
It's
is
good though. I couldn't tell you the name of it.
I'm going to share that with you soon.
Listen to that. Ooh, yeah, you got the piano.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little jazz element
You
there.
almost have to have the piano.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets the rock a little.
Ooh, yeah. Yep. Soft. I like it. It's got it all.
Soft.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Steppin' Out by Joe Jackson. All right. When I said New York City, that always reminds me from when we were kids. Remember that Pace Picante commercial? It was very
New York City.
Get a rope.
Get a rope.
That's very aggressive for the 80s. So this released
They're
in the
gonna
United
hang
States.
a man.
They did just over salsa. Yes. So, well, this released in the U.S. in August of 1982. You're going to find an 82 theme in my list today.
Yeah.
Hit number 6 in the U.S. Hot 100, number 4 on the Adult Contemporary chart, and number 2 on the U.S. Pop Airplay chart, and number 7 on the Album Rock Tracks chart, which is interesting. I checked the rock charts, and not a lot of rock, as we think of it, was going on in 1982. I saw a lot of Winwood, Loggins, Rush, which I don't consider rock, and some others that were not big, what I would consider rock bands and songs. The song is about the anticipation of a night out on the town. And according to VH1's pop-up video, which you and I used to like watching, the phrase steppin' out was coined in the 1930s in New York City. This received a Grammy nomination for Record of the Year in 1983, but lost to fellow soft rock powerhouse Toto for Rosanna. And I'm going to agree with that. Rosanna's a fantastic song. This wasn't Jackson's biggest hit. This was Jackson's biggest hit in the United States, but not. He had another single in the UK called "It's Different for the Girls." Listen to it, not great. Peaked at number 5. So, fun fact: Jackson stated that he played all of the instruments for this song, with the exception of the drums. A session drummer by the name of Larry Tofrey added a real snare and cymbal sound, with the rest of the drums programmed into a drum machine. Time Magazine named this one of the 10 best songs of all of 1982, noting the track's elegance and sophistication, which stood out in a year dominated by synth-driven pop music.
Yes.
So, stepping out, Joe Jackson, number 7.
I like it.
Yeah.
It meets all the criteria.
It meets everything.
Yeah, it's something.
I do want to let you know today.
Yeah.
I may have done some of the most research per song that I've done of any other topic we've had. I think you're going to be really proud. I'm happy to see your face today, see if you're proud of my extensive information that I've got for you.
All right.
So, because usually you're the one with all the information, but today I feel like I've captured some really good things with these songs. So
All right.
that means it's your turn to unveil your number 7.
All right. My number 7 is.
Steve Miller Band.
It is.
See, I know these things.
Yeah. It's my number 7 because it's the least. It's the least Yacht Rock song I have.
That's good. My wife really likes this song.
Yeah.
She had this album.
Of your velvet glove.
My
There you go.
my first reaction is,
Yeah.
it might be a little fast,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's not.
Yeah.
It's not soft rock adjacent. It might be a little fast.
Yeah.
That's all.
And that's why it's number 7.
Gotcha.
Because it didn't fit, but
Do you feel the smooth yacht feeling of that song? If you're on the yacht playing a little shuffleboard, having a good time.
I think that's later. This is a later. It's keeping it.
Yeah, I think
it up.
so.
Yeah, you got
A couple of Coronas.
Yeah.
Listening to this.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I think it's at least soft rock adjacent. We'll
Yes.
give it that.
No, I think that's fair. Yeah, this is Abracadabra, Steve Miller Band. The genre is considered pop rock, electronic rock, or funk rock.
Funk rock.
Written by Steve Miller. Released as the first single from the 1982 album, also called Abracadabra. In the U.S., it spent 2 non-consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Spent 14 weeks in the top 10 of the Hot 100 chart. The biggest hit of Steve Miller's career to this date. It was their last U.S. top 10 hit. Charted in 10 countries. Topped the charts in 6 countries. It was knocked off the top by Chicago's Hard to Say I'm Sorry. Yeah. The song was most recently used by Eminem in his song Houdini, which debuted at number 2.
Nice.
Surprisingly, Abracadabra crossed over the Billboard Soul chart, and its accompanying music video aired on BET as well as on MTV.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the soul part of it here in a little bit. I'm going to talk about it. But anyway, the only thing I found about the song is that, oddly enough, he said, Abracadabra was a piece of music I'd been fooling around with for a long time. Miller, he added that he was going to put it on the album, but decided to pull the song at the last minute in order to improve it. It started as an instrumental, gypsy blues kind of tune, and then they just put some words to it. So I don't know if there's even a whole lot of meaning to it.
I think it's really
just
catchy. It's a very catchy song.
See, it's got catchy.
It
See,
is.
And that was it's got
one
a
of the
catchy
criteria.
hook. Yeah,
That's
you
what I
go.
said.
Yeah.
I just think the beat's a little quick.
I agree with you. And from here on out, it's much more subdued.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you'll be proud of my selection.
That's the first one that gets going. Huh?
Yeah, that's
All
right. Yeah.
So, well, good. Number 7. I like that
Okay,
song.
yeah.
Very catchy song. Steve Miller.
Yeah, the rest sound nothing like that.
Oh, well, that's great.
I promise you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mine all kind of sound like you think they would sound. So that takes me to my number 6. At 6, I have a song released in 1982, again, about a skeptic when it comes to the supernatural powers of love. Once he meets a special woman, he finds that he becomes a believer in that love.
You can do magic. You can have anything that you desire.
This is your number 6?
Number 6.
And you know you're the one who can put out the fire.
Good softness.
This is good.
Darn well when you cast your spell. You will get your way when you hypnotize
These lyrics are amazing.
with your eyes.
Yeah.
The heart of stone can
This might be the best part of the song right here.
Love it.
How does that song make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel like this. Can you turn my sound up?
Are we going? Is this your number 6? And you said, are we going to have any crossover? Right at number 6, huh?
This is my number 6.
Very good. It's really good.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I will.
Yeah. Let's see what you
I'm
got.
going to give some info, and
Yeah.
then you can jump in with whatever
Yeah.
I miss. So,
Yeah.
this song is "You Can Do Magic" by America.
Mm-hmm.
This song brought America new success, as they had been a top 10 soft rock band in the early to mid 70s, but hit a huge commercial slump, only generating 1 hit to go on the U.S. Hot 100 from 1977 to 1981, which was just a cover. It wasn't even their own music. The band and the writers think that what makes the song so catchy and successful are the do-do-do-do-doos after the chorus. They think that's what caught on and made it as popular as it was. Although this would be America's last top 40 hit, it did go to number 8 on the U.S. Hot 100 in October of 1982. In case you were wondering, the number one song that week was "Jack and Diane" by Cougar. So that's tough. You're not gonna climb over the Cougar on that one. The song was recorded in the famous Abbey Road studio in London, foggy little London town. And interestingly enough, besides being guitarists, the two lead vocalists, they both play guitar, Jerry Beckley and Dewey Bunnell. They only provide vocals on the track.
Yeah.
But if you watch the video, they're both playing guitar in the video. So now we know the video's a sham because they did not play it on the track whatsoever.
They're frauds. Yeah.
The song's writer and producer Russ Ballard provides acoustic, electric, and bass guitars, as well as keyboards and backing vocals. So that guy was putting in some work. All right, he was getting the job done. "You Can Do Magic" has consistently been ranked on most 80s soft yacht rock essentials lists since its release. Fun fact, the band was formed in England in 1970 by a trio of sons of U.S. Air Force personnel stationed in London.
Look at that.
So I liked that. So,
Yeah. You've got a little
they're
connection
Air
there.
Force brats.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why they're from London, but it's called America. So,
Everything you said is what I have,
okay.
and more.
Oh, yes.
And then the only thing that I would add personal connection is I remember my dad had an America album.
Oh,
It wasn't this one. It was whatever one. I'm not familiar with America's discography.
you didn't go through it?
No.
I felt like you
but
would have
it's got
plugged in.
it's the one, the horse with no name.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember my dad had that album and would play that.
Very
So
good.
I do remember that song. So that's
Nice.
my connection to America.
So we
But,
said
number 6.
Would there be a crossover? Right at number 6, we have one.
Ah, man, there might be one more on here that
Think so?
we could have.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was one.
1982, you're right. A lot of my things come out of 1982.
Ooh, so we might have some trouble because I've got a lot of 82 also.
Yeah.
That was one song when I did put it on. I thought if there's going to be one, this might be one.
Yep.
Because that seems like one that would have piqued your interest a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty confident you don't have my number 5.
All right.
So my number 5 song, written by Grammy winners from Toto and Chicago. So some definite soft rock street cred right here. One of the writers said he came up with the melody while in the bathroom. So proof positive. You can get some good thinking done in there, Rob.
Some of my
he
best
said,
thinking.
It's a gift that just keeps on giving. And that's the song, not whatever happened in the bathroom. So I love this song.
I don't have it.
You don't.
Nope.
This is so fantastic. The chorus is so great.
There's the pianos again.
Turn your love around.
Oh, that's good.
Horns.
Don't you turn me down.
Oh, see, this is gonna play well into my argument here.
Those horns are fantastic.
Your love
This George Benson. George Benson. Yeah.
Starts to break down a little here. Those horns. It's a little funky.
yeah.
Everything's working
I love
in this. So this is "Turn Your Love Around" by George Benson. This went to number 1 on the R&B singles charts and number 5 in the U.S. Hot 100. It won the 1983 Grammy for Best R&B Song, defeating another amazing tune, "Sexual Healing" from Marvin Gaye. That's tough. This was one of the first pop hits that used a drum machine, and it was programmed by Toto drummer Jeff Porcaro, who, by the way, is all over the soft rock genre. He's helping everybody. George Benson is a jazz guitarist.
Oh, this is good.
George Benson is a jazz guitarist, singer, and songwriter, although did not play guitar on this track because the producers didn't feel his style of guitar sound fit this genre because they're going for the softer, like R&B hit. It found traction. George found traction singing ballads and softer songs in the late 70s, and actually sang the first version of "The Greatest Love of All" in 1977 that Whitney Houston would cover and take to number 1 in 1987. I listened to it. It's literally the same song. It's just her voice was a little better. Benson, by the way, an amazing artist. He has been nominated for 25 Grammys. He's won 10 of them. First one in 1977, last one in 2007. He's been honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and this song was his second highest charting single on the U.S. Hot 100. His highest charting song is "Give Me the Night," number 4 that week in 1980, which is also a great song. Can't go wrong with George Benson.
I think that's an important point, is that you just made that. So this is George Benson fella,
Yes.
accomplished
Oh, he's amazing.
musician. I have several on here that I never really had heard of.
Oh,
And then, or I knew of, and then I did a little deep dive in them. And I was like, these guys were important.
They were important.
They were good.
well, I can tell you right now, Jeff Porcaro, the drummer from Toto, so important. Like, he's everywhere in this genre.
He's going to come up in my notes.
Oh, of course,
That's funny.
So, all right, that means Your number 5.
My number 5.
Which is not George Benson.
No, it is.
This is very interesting. Speaking of Jeff Porcaro, you know, I never thought of this as soft rock till lately.
Yeah.
But now it is. It does meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So real quick. So I watched that Yacht Rock stuff on YouTube. They did an episode dedicated to this song. And what happened was they literally were making Thriller, and they asked the guys from Toto to help produce. And they came up with this song and at first Michael didn't want to sing it because he was doing Beat It with Eddie Van Halen, and he had all these other tracks, and he thought this was going to be a little too, it didn't have the right sound.
Yeah.
But Quincy Jones was like, no these guys wrote a great song. You should sing it. It turns out, it's an amazing song.
Yeah.
So
it's Human Nature. Michael Jackson released July 4th of 83 off the Thriller album. Was produced by Quincy Jones. Performed by some band members of Toto.
Oh.
Toto.
Everywhere.
Their genre is considered rock, pop, jazz fusion, prog rock. It was originally written by keyboardist Steve Porcaro. There he is.
Steve, that's the brother.
Yeah.
Love Jeff.
Based on a conversation he had with his younger daughter after a boy hit her at school. He said, he probably likes you and it's human nature. That's the title of the song.
That was it.
Reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. Reached number 2 on the Billboard Adult Contemporary chart. It's certified platinum. This album was huge for me as a kid. I had it. I loved it. I had the cassette.
We all had it.
Great. But I did find lots of conversation online about whether or not this met. But I think it does. I see this playing on it fits for me.
I think they bring the soft music down, so it makes a lot of sense. But they on that video where they talk about the song, they poke a little fun. They take some liberties because they're. Excuse me. Should not burp while doing a podcast.
Yes.
Anyway, so apologies to our fans. But anyway, they showed Toto, like Quincy Jones and asked them to make a song or something, help produce. And they go to Steve or Mike McDonald and Kenny Loggins, and they're like, "Nah, we're not doing that crap" or something like. So they make it look all funny or whatever. But yeah, I saw Toto was all over, and some of these songs Toto is all over.
Yes,
like they're all over the place.
I was just going to say there is and that was one of the things I read about the Yacht Rock movement is that a lot of the musicians were like session musicians.
They were.
And so they used a lot of the same guys, and so a lot of the same people are going to pop up in all these songs. So it's a sound, and they were looking for it. But anyway.
Good, solid at number 5.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, so for my 4th selection, I'm at number 4. I chose a song that was written 4 different times, with the first 3 all being love songs, but the writers just didn't think it worked. It was only after having a fight with his father that this artist came up with what the song actually should sound like.
Oh, Michael McDonald? Oh, this is Kenny Loggins. Yes.
This song is so good.
This is it. But Michael McDonald's in there.
Oh,
yeah.
We're going to talk about that. I could have picked so many Kenny Loggins songs, but I love this one.
I was hoping to play a game we could do like the 6 degrees of Michael McDonald.
Oh, you could.
How many
do like
of these
30
songs
degrees.
You could within 2 degrees?
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
He's everywhere. Well, the name of this song is "This Is It" by Kenny Loggins, one of the princes, at least, of this genre.
You call him the underboss.
The underboss. Yeah, he's a capo. So in Sopranos world, he's a capo. So small cheat for this song, I will say. Yeah. Released in October of 79, but did not hit its peak on the U.S. Hot 100 at number 11 until February 9th, 1980, and was number 17 on the Adult Contemporary chart February 2nd of 1980. So I'm going to count it as an 80s song, as that's when its most popular moment was. Now back to the beginning and what this song's actually about. Kenny's father had a serious heart problem and didn't know what to do about it. So the song is about a man who is suffering terrible pain, looks to find his miracle, and needs to stand up and fight. Kenny wrote the song with Michael McDonald and won the Grammy for Best Male Pop Vocal in 1981. McDonald providing backup vocals and plays keyboard on the track. I have more. To me, Loggins and McDonald are the soft rock power couple. So I did some digging.
Oh, okay.
Loggins and McDonald were longtime friends and writing partners, as they had also collaborated on the Doobie Brothers hit What a Fool Believes. They would together go on to write several other songs for each other and still perform regularly together to this day. Actually, I've seen a lot of YouTube clips. They're good friends. And they love each other.
Wow.
You'll like this, Rob. In an interview with the LA Times, Kenny said the first time he heard Michael sing, he knew he'd be a major force, which he'd only felt one other time when he first heard Steve Winwood's voice. Look
beast.
at that. It all comes around. Fun fact, this was Loggins' first single to hit the R&B chart, peaking at number 17. Last thing, and I like this. After the success in Grammys from What a Fool Believes, Kenny and Michael were reluctant to work together as they didn't think they could follow up that song with another hit. Finally, Loggins insisted they meet up and write a, quote, shitty song to shake out their nerves. The shitty song they wrote, Rob, my number 4 choice, This Is It. Won the Grammy.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a shitty song.
It is.
Wow. Good job they did on that one.
Not too shabby.
Not shitty enough.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So we've got Loggins with McDonald in the background there.
That's a hard one. That's your number 4?
Number 4. I struggle having that at 4 because I love it so much. But I think when you hear the next handful of songs, you're going to go, that makes sense.
Okay.
So,
all right. What is this? My number 4?
This is your number 4.
Oh, this is probably my most
Soft rocky.
soft rock, yacht rock song.
Nice.
Here we go. I like it a lot. So good.
Steely Dan.
It is Steely Dan.
I love the way they sing.
Please take me along. It's
Very unique
Frank.
way of singing.
Yeah,
I like it.
that's good.
Really good. Steve.
It's so like jazzy
This
and
fits-
groovy.
I mean, this is, if you were thinking of a soft rock song,
Smooth.
this is the one.
Yeah, this is probably my most soft rock song, and I love it.
Okay.
So this is a song called Hey 19 by the band Steely Dan. Their genre is considered jazz fusion or soft rock. It peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 early in 81, peaked at 11 on the adult contemporary chart. Rolling Stone has called them the perfect musical anti-heroes of the 70s, which I like. They have sold more than, this is one of the groups I was like, they're kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
They have sold more than 40 million albums worldwide and were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in March of 2001. VH1 ranked Steely Dan at number 82 on their list of the 100 greatest musical artists of all time. Rolling Stone ranked them number 15 on its list of the 20 greatest duos of all time. The song is about a middle-aged man's disappointment with a young lover. The man is in his early 30s and is contemplating a romantic encounter with a 19-year-old with whom he has nothing in common. For example, she does not recognize a song by Aretha Franklin. The song closes with, it's my favorite part of the song, where over and over again he says, the Cuervo Gold, the fine Colombian make tonight a wonderful thing. And this again emphasizes their age difference. When this song was written, tequila was less popular among college-aged drinkers, and the fine Colombian is a reference to cannabis. I thought it was a cigar, but it's cannabis. The listener is left to decide whether the narrator is drinking and smoking with her, or if he is in fact alone and thinking of days gone by.
Ooh.
Kind of leave you hanging. So
like
did he boot her, or is he keeping her? But anyway, so yeah, this is Hey 1980 Steely Dan.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's
Can't,
like I said, my most yacht rock song on here, and it's really good.
Very
Actually,
catchy.
and I will admit that Steely Dan is a band that I could probably get into.
Oh, see, I told you we'd change your minds today.
There's one other artist on here that I'm into now because of today's episode.
For weeks, you've been like on this topic, and you're like, I'm not looking forward to it. And
So I purposely picked songs that I like, and then I found a couple that I was like, oh, I'm there's another guy coming up here that I'm into now.
Yeah, very good.
Because of this episode. So,
all right, that takes us to number 3.
Number 3.
My number 3 choice marked a resurgence for this band, who had been dropped from their longtime label Columbia. This was the first single released on their new label and was co-written between the outstanding lead vocalist and producer David Foster.
It's hard for me to say I'm sorry.
There it is.
I mean, you knew it had to happen.
I just want you to stay.
Okay, so this is your number 3.
Number 3.
All right. Wow.
After all that we've been through,
I mean, come on.
I will make it up to you. I promise to. And after
is it soft
all that's
enough?
been said
It's,
and
yeah.
done,
No, because you get that big drum section here in a minute.
No,
where
not right now.
yeah, it comes later though.
But not right now. Relax. I mean, listen to this.
I am
Listen to
relaxed.
this bridge right here.
See?
Oh,
couldn't stand to be kept away.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I mean, come on.
It's good. It's good.
It is. I know it's good.
They had to be on here.
So this is
Also, this is one of those people I stayed away from because you'll get a Chicago.
this is hard to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
/
Oh.
Get Away
Oh.
by Chicago. This song went to number 1 on the US Hot 100 and the Adult Contemporary chart. Also hit number 1 in Canada, Ireland, Italy, and Switzerland. Also hit number 4 in the UK, marking their biggest hit across the pond. It was nominated for a Grammy in 1983 for Best Pop Performance for a Duo or Group. They did not win, but tough category, Rob, this year. Just bangers left and right. Besides Chicago, listen to this. You had Maneater from Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Oh.
Ebony and Ivory from Paul McCartney and
Ooh.
Stevie Wonder. Rosanna by Toto. And the winner, Up Where We Belong by Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warnes from The Officer and a Gentleman soundtrack. That's a tough
That's
category.
Good. That's good.
Those are all home runs right there. What are certified slappers, Rob? That's what we'll call it. So
Slappers?
I guess that's what they say now. So this
I
is
don't think
obviously
they
a
say.
power ballad produced, as I said, by David Foster. And what's interesting about that is that Foster was famous for making radio hit pop songs, and Chicago hadn't had a hit in a while. But he created some controversy in the band. Chicago Forever was a band where everyone had equal parts. They sang, they played, everything was the same. But Foster, after hearing him, wanted to highlight Cetera's voice as the lead singer and go more ballady, which the band wasn't real sure at first. But it worked in the end because they've scored a lot of big hits.
Yeah.
But that's what caused the rift between the members.
Uh-huh.
In this song, for example, he didn't have the Chicago band members play instruments as they play mostly horns. So Foster and some session artists, the guys from Toto, play all the backup instruments like piano, drums, etc. But in the music video, the other members of Chicago are shown playing the drums, the guitars, whatever. So and the piano, which they don't play. And I watched.
Also fraud.
There's a really good Chicago documentary on HBO Max.
Oh, I'll be sure to catch
It's
that.
really good. And they even say, they're like, we don't play these instruments. And David Foster in the video is like, just act like you're
Nobody
playing.
will care.
Dude's like, I've never played guitar before. So, however, to appease the band, because he knew there was a little rift, he added basically a second song at the end of this song, which isn't very yacht rocky.
Uh-huh.
All right. But it's really cool. It features all the other members of Chicago and they get to display their horn ability. Because the song's real slow. It's a loving song. And then for no reason whatsoever, out of the blue, it just busts into what I think you were alluding to with like the guitar thing.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds great. The horns are great.
Yeah. But it's not Yacht Rock. This
It's
is
a little yachty. Here it comes.
When we get there, gonna jump in the air. No one will see us.
this sounds like something they would do as an encore at a concert, like, or the intro.
I really like the horn solo right here. Here we go.
Oh.
We're just going to let this go to the end because the ending's really good.
Oh. Wow. And that's how it ends.
That just stops
Cold
right there.
stop.
Cold stop.
Wow.
So, all right. So, hard to say I'm sorry. The slow love yachty part. / getaway, which is kind of that part at the end they added to kind of appease the members of Chicago. Now, they ended up breaking up because Foster said Cetera was the talent. Cetera ends up going solo, and they've never gotten back together. It's
That's too
kinda
bad.
sad. So,
That's too bad.
Chicago still had some other hits later in the 80s
But
with
without
different
Cetera.
singers, but
Yeah.
no Cetera. Still good. And I've made this case multiple times on here. I love Chicago with Cetera. I really like Chicago without Peter.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
good to go.
All right. All right.
So that means number 3. That was my number 3,
That
Chicago.
was your number 3.
So Loggins at 4, Chicago at 3. I bet you didn't see that coming.
Oh, yeah. That was a shocker. Came out of left field.
No, I mean that high up is what I was getting at.
Oh, this is true.
So-
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
You see the other two.
I want to know now.
So that means
this is my number 3.
Your number 3.
Okay.
It's really good. I already know. It's good. I looked at this.
Yeah. I really like
This
it.
got into the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was released in 82.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Definitely still has some of that holdover 70s sound.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was holding on tight.
This is good.
A lot of these ones they're holding on to the late 70s.
This is definitely not a crossover.
No. It was off my list for a long time, and then I heard it. I was like, I gotta put it on.
I like when
I forced it in. I didn't.
it's got some good sax, I think.
Oh, the opening. Here, I'll take you back to the opening. Hold on.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, that immediately puts you in that
Yeah.
breezy, smooth
And it's a
mood
long
right
little.
there.
It's a pretty good little intro before you start singing.
You could just listen to this.
I know.
Do you think this is what Kenny G was listening to as a kid? And he's like,
Oh, this.
I got to do that.
Yeah, whatever that is,
That's
I
what
want to
I
do
gotta
that. Yeah.
I want to be a part of that in my life.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, so this is The One You Love by Glenn Fry. Or as our good friend,
So
Chris,
weird.
Glenn Frey.
Frey.
Yeah.
It's so weird that that's Glenn Fry because
Yeah.
it doesn't even sound like Glenn Fry.
It's considered soft rock or easy listening. He's most famous as a singer and guitarist for the Eagles. This was released in '82, and the tenor saxophone is what you hear on there.
So good.
Is by Ernie Watts. We've talked about him before. He played the Night Court theme.
Oh, very good.
And then Jim Horn, who was a member of the Wrecking Crew. And if you ever get a chance to do a little deep dive on the Wrecking Crew, they're like these session musicians that are like
The best.
there's a whole list of them, 30, 40 of them. And they've all been put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because all of them played on, they were session musicians. And a lot of times they didn't get credit, but they were like, they did all the work and they did. Anyway, super famous people. Anyway, they and the Wrecking Crew played on Captain and Tennille's Love Will Keep Us Together. See, yeah.
I do have to say, I love soft rock, and that's a 70s song.
Yeah.
But that song is really annoying.
Yeah, it didn't make my list. Well, it was the 70s.
Man,
so, yeah.
we'll keep
Yeah.
it together.
It reached number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100, reached number 2 on the U.S. Adult Contemporary chart. So that's the one I love. Great saxophone.
Oh,
it's
good.
smooth. It's slow. It's
everything.
It's
Perfect.
So that's So there we go. That's my number 3.
I can't believe that's Glenn Fry.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that's him. You listen to The Heat Is On, and you listen to that, and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
The versatility of that man, Glenn Fray. Good job, Glenn.
Glenn Frey.
R.I.P. there, Glenn. But great job before that. So, okay. That means I'm at number 2. This is a big one.
Okay.
One of my favorite
Man, I'm
artists.
trying to think. There's a couple
And,
you haven't played that I'm
Voices
shocked.
of my lifetime. He's
Yeah.
not everyone's cup of tea, but I think he's absolutely awesome. People younger than us, Rob, will think when they hear this sample,
Wow.
hey, why the heck are you playing that Warren G song?
Oh yeah, the young ones, the young kids will say, "What?" He did a duo with Warren G.
Love this song.
This isn't your number 1?
This is number 2.
Wow.
Wait, I love this part right here. Who sings like that? So good.
He's pretty good.
I think the rest of the podcast is just this.
We'll just listen to Michael McDonald.
Yeah,
We can do a whole podcast on Michael McDonald.
I've already
Every
waived this.
episode.
I think this and Kenny Loggins.
Yeah. Why? What's your number? I'm curious.
Okay.
This is not your number 1. I would have guessed that this was going to be your number 1.
I could see that. But I think when you hear number 1, you're going to have, I think it'll make sense. So this is, I keep forgetting, parentheticals, Rob. We love our parentheticals every time you're near by the one and only Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald.
He is everything. This song was off Michael's debut solo album. That's What It Takes. It was a top 5 hit on the U.S. Hot 100, but not without a little controversy. The song sounded like a 1962 song by Chuck Jackson called I Keep Forgetting and composed by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller. Because of the similarity, Lieber and Stoller were given songwriting credit for this song to kind of calm down the controversy. So as I alluded to at the beginning, in 1994, Warren G and Nate Dogg heavily sampled this song for their hit Regulate, which introduced Michael to a whole new audience in the 90s. A lot of people were like, oh, where'd you get that sample from? Oh, that came from the 80s. Oh, by the way, this came out in 1982. So Pitchfork had this at number 147 on their list of the best 200 songs of the 80s. Michael said in an interview, I don't mean to be self-deprecating, but I never really understood why people gave me so much credit as a musician. I really am just more or less a songwriter who plays a little piano. but he does enjoy that his singular sound has captivated audiences for generations and has given life to remixes, remakes, and thousands of impressions of him, which I like to do here.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Michael's sister, Maureen, is providing backup vocals on this song. And the McDonalds are a very musical family, as their father, Bob, was also a very talented singer.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
the McDonald's.
I just can't get over this. You're number 2.
Number 2.
Wow.
Well, when you hear number 1, I think it's going to be pretty simple.
All right.
So that means your number 2.
My number 2
is right on deck.
Is.
Oh, it's good.
I really like this song.
No, it's good. I looked at this one too. This is again, you went from Fry to this.
Yeah.
So we kept in that area.
Yeah, we did.
And I think this just slides into 1980, right?
1980.
That's right.
Yeah. It was actually recorded in 78.
This is probably one of their softest songs.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good though. My wife's going to like this. Laurel's going to give you a head nod on this one. Very good.
I love this song. So good.
And by the way,
I love every song on here.
interesting with this song, neither Henley or Fry sing on this.
No.
It's the guitarist.
Yeah.
It's one of the only times one of those two aren't singing.
Tim Schmidt.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
couldn't they couldn't provide the softer quality of the song. Talking documentaries. There's another one on Max about the Eagles,
Oh, I watched
two-parter.
that one.
Really good one.
Yeah.
So, and they talk about when they gave this song to that guy.
Yeah.
So,
So this is I Can't Tell You Why by the Eagles, 1980. The genre is considered blue-eyed soul or rock, recorded in 1978, came out in 80. First appeared on their 1979 album The Long Run, released as a single in 80. It was written by band members Tim Schmidt, Glenn Frey, Don Henley. Recorded, it was the first song finished for the album and the first Eagles song to feature Schmidt on lead vocals, and one of the only songs that didn't have one of them singing. Became a Billboard Top 10 hit, reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, reached number 3 on the Adult Contemporary chart. It was the group's last top 40 hit on the Billboard's Hot 100. Here's some interesting stuff that I liked. Tim Schmidt provided the song title and composed the nucleus, which he then presented to Glenn Frey and Don Henley, and they completed the song together. Henley described the finished song as, quote, straight Al Green, unquote, and said that Frey, an R&B fan from Detroit, was responsible for the R&B feel for the song. Frey said that Schmidt, quote, you could sing like Smokey Robinson. Let's not do a Richie Furay, Poco-sounding song. Let's do an R&B song. So that got me, who's this Richie Furay guy? He's an American musician, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member with Buffalo Springfield. He's best known for forming the bands Buffalo Springfield, Stephen Stills, Neil Young, Bruce Palmer, and do it with Stephen Stills, Neil Young, Bruce Palmer, Dewey Martin. Then he was in a band called Poco with Jim Messina.
Ooh, formerly of
Messina and
Loggins and Messina.
Yeah. Tim Schmidt, Rusty Young, George Grantham, and Randy Meisner, a founding member of the Eagles.
Yep.
And Jim Messina, half the soft rock duo of Loggins and Messina with Kenny Loggins.
Ooh.
So this big nucleus of people, they're hanging out together and they're writing songs together, and it's soft rock, yacht rock. It's royalty.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go. Yeah.
It's like the center of the universe.
But I will come back again. The whole idea of R&B, soul.
Yeah.
There's a foundation of this yacht rock.
R&B, soul, a little jazz.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Horns, piano. You got to get all the parts.
Yeah.
So
it's I can't tell you why. The Eagles. That's my
really
number
good.
2.
So, well, I know you're on the edge of your seats awaiting our number 1 songs. But before the big reveal, let's all sail away, Rob, to the cut line. All right. Well, my first cut's lyrics, according to the artist, have no special meaning. It's just a song where the words and the melody fit right together, and they were cool. Well, he thought they were cool. So he threw the song together and was actually surprised by the popularity.
Oh. Steal Away. I almost took this one.
Oh,
I almost grabbed it.
really?
Yep. But then I was like,
It didn't work?
I felt like it was.
But like what?
I felt like that was when we would overlap them.
Oh.
So
It's got everything. the piano. There's some
God, what's
horns
this guy's
in the
name?
background.
You're going to tell us. I know. I'm trying to drive me nuts.
You'll know as soon as I say it. So this is Steal Away by Robbie Dupree.
Dupree.
Yes, this was Dupree's first single and biggest hit as it went to number 6 on the U.S. Hot 100. Number 2 on what chart, Rob?
Adult contemporary.
Adult contemporary. There you go. It's like you knew
Yeah.
it happened. Dupree actually didn't have a record deal when he recorded this song. It was just part of a 5-song demo. He was shopping around to record companies, needing money. Dupree, while shopping this around, was loading carpets on trucks when he finally got a call from Elektra, who didn't like Steal Away, but they liked another song in the demo. But when they went into the studio, they reworked it a little bit, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, no, that's the right song. So, well, despite that, Steal Away was still the first single they released. There was some opposition, but the producer basically convinced Elektra this is the right one. And then in the end, they were right. So Elektra, let's see. Steal Away was the first single released, became a mainstay on easy listening stations, and has gotten pretty consistent airplay even generations later. They still play it today. Dupree now performs the song from time to time with the Yacht Rock Review, which is a yacht rock cover band in California. So he shows up with them and he plays with them from time to time.
That's funny. I found that too.
Fun fact, Rob, you're going to like this. Michael McDonald's people sought legal action against Dupree, saying his vocal style and background keyboards
I was going to say
were similar to What a Fool Believes. Although McDonald himself has said multiple times he never accused Dupree of stealing his song, and he doesn't even hear, but that was his record people that were doing that. I couldn't find anything coming to the publishing company's claims, so I'm going to assume Dupree was cleared because I couldn't find anything where it said that he had to award money, and he still has always played the song, so nobody put any restrictions on it. So I'm going to assume there was no claim to that in the end.
All right.
So
Yeah,
Robbie Dupree.
Robbie Dupree.
And very, very clear, Michael McDonald saying, I'm not accusing him of anything. You're doing good, Robbie.
Steal Away.
Steal Away. Oh. All right. That takes us to your first cut.
Here we go.
So I don't know this song. It's interesting. It sounds like Sade.
It is.
It's an interesting pull.
I know.
It's your first, I would say, your most stretchable one so far.
Hence, while it's a cut.
I got you.
Yeah, see, sometimes I try to follow the rules.
Yeah, I think it's a little too. It's good. I just think it's a little too funky and soulful for yacht rock.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
That's all I would say. Good song.
Yeah.
I don't. This is where people can have these arguments. I don't think it's totally yacht rock, but everyone gets to have their interpretation. So convince us, Rob.
Okay, so I need to find my notes. They disappeared on me here.
Sometimes they go away.
Yeah. This is "Hang On to Your Love" by the English band Sade. The genre, as discussed by Wikipedia, all things they're the
all things
go-to, right?
Yes, of course.
R&B, they're considered R&B, smooth jazz, lounge, funk, and for the first time, I found a style that's known as yacht soul.
There you go. That's where you went.
So the term, you will like this, yacht soul, was coined by the music journalist and one of our podcasting idols, Rob Harvella.
Oh, very good.
In 2018.
Nice.
And it refers to the smooth, sophisticated sound that was popular among the wealthy yacht-owning class of the time. Fact check me out there if that's true. So this was from the debut studio album called Diamond Life by Sade, co-written by lead singer Sade Adu, released in September of 1984 as the album's first North American single and fourth single overall. Then I got into this whole thing about Yacht Soul. There's a Yacht Soul Facebook group. There's a Yacht Soul show. Then I found this quote. Donald Cleveland, he's a soul music historian, says that we have the Yacht Soul question entirely backward. He says, to be honest, yacht rock should have been called yacht soul from the start.
No.
Anybody with ears knows that. The only thing rock about yacht is the label that was on the albums as originally released, so they could be filed separately from the soul albums. It was just easier for the white people listening to this music with obvious soulful stylings to just keep the white rock labeling going. So he makes the argument that there's the soul R&B is that really Yacht Rock is soul music and R&B music. And I think when you listen to it that way, they do sound very. They're using the horns, and they're using the there's a beat to it that is more soul oriented than rock.
I like your description, and I understand it. But I just tell you that listening to Sade and then listening to Kenny Loggins, it's not the same. Like hers
true.
is more the soul. His is more the what would be a yacht rock.
Yeah.
And there is, I mean, with yacht rock, unlike soul, not saying soul doesn't have them, but there's a little more guitar to go with those smooth melodic piano notes and horns and things. So anyway. And Sade is singing about topics that are a little more serious, like lost love and stuff. And when they sing those kinds of songs, they still make it seem like, you know, breezy and fun. You know what I mean? So, and her pain in her voice sometimes isn't always breezy and fun.
No, that is true. And I had another guy. We might talk about at the end, but we were talking about. I had a Sting song in there.
Oh,
and I pulled him out because the sound was very yacht rock-ish, but the content was not uplifting.
I would just tell you, you know, for all the countdowns we do, if you somehow wedged a Sting song into this,
he was almost on there. Not have he was on. He was on there right up to the end.
Not happy about that.
I took him out.
So. Okay, well, my second cut from a band making their second appearance on our show. You introduced them the first time. Although you introduced them, some have said this song gets its theme from the George Orwell novel 1984 about Big Brother.
Steely Dan.
Oh, good try though.
This is Steve Miller, right?
No, you gotta listen. You'll get it. Very thinking hard on this, huh? Yeah. You're gonna be upset when I get it to you. You didn't look at this song? I like the breakdown.
This is Alan Parsons.
There you got it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But I thought you said that I introduced them. Like, oh no, I was like, they weren't on my list.
No, but you had a previous episode.
I did.
Where they made this. So this is "Eye in the Sky" by the Alan Parsons Project. This was the most successful single for the group and the only top 10 hit they ever had, as it went all the way to number 3 on the U.S. Hot 100. It also went to number 1 in Spain and Canada. Thought that was interesting. In fact, this was the number 1 single for all of 1982 in Spain. So Spain thought this was the best song of the year. The Alan Parsons Project was strictly a studio group at the time, and the sound for this song and the album were learned by Alan Parsons himself when he worked as a sound engineer on Abbey Road by the Beatles and Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. How about that? Sound engineer for those two? Oh, okay. No big deal.
That worked out for him.
Parsons did not like this song and had to be convinced by the rest of the band to put it on the album because they thought it was great. Parsons was so sure it wouldn't be a hit, he bet his guitarist, Ian Berenson, that it wouldn't get any traction. Although they had 8 top 40 entries from 1976 to 1984, this is by far their most played song, and he lost the bet in concert since the group began performing in the 90s.
Wow.
So this is their most popular song.
Okay.
When people go to a Gin Blossoms concert, they're playing other songs, and then people are just quietly like, "Hey, Jealousy," like they let you know.
Well, that's like when we went
to an Alan Parsons Project concert, which I don't know anyone that's ever done that, but if you were to go to one, I'm sure some point in the night the rumbling would be "Eye in the Sky." Just put it out.
Like,
there.
oh, I know that one.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So
that's like when we went to the Collective Soul concert.
Yeah,
and my wife was like, "Oh, I know this one."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay." We finally hit one that you know.
Yeah, you got to play that. December.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
What's this? My
This is
other
your
cut.
second cut.
Okay, here we go. It's a little funky. It's a cut.
Again, I wouldn't qualify this, but too funky, man.
But it's
If we
you
were
listen
doing
in the
a
background.
funk countdown, this would be great.
It's breezy.
I feel
it's
like
in
I should hear Bootsy Collins back there or something. I don't know that it's breezy. This isn't sipping champagne on a boat.
Absolutely. This is sitting on the back porch.
No, this is more you're going below deck. That's what this is. Like you put this funkiness on and you're heading below deck. and you're taking your lady with you.
I put it on here as a cut in honor of my daughter.
Oh, nice.
This is Queen. It's a song.
Queen.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
Queen. Yeah, it's a song called Cool Cat.
Oh.
1982 from their album Hot Space. And it's their 10th studio album. It was co-written by Freddie Mercury. Originally, it featured David Bowie on background vocal, but he was unhappy with the results and requested that his vocals be removed.
Oh,
Mercury sings the entire song in falsetto. There you go.
Nice.
Marking a notable shift in direction from their earlier work. They employed many elements of disco, funk, R&B, dance, pop, and new wave music. Fans didn't like it. They're like, this is not the Queen that we know. So they but my daughter loves this album. She has it. And
I didn't know that was Queen.
No, and she knows. Yeah, and this is good. It came across a couple lists I found and researching, and I thought it still goes to me with the soul. What do you call that? The lineage.
Lineage. Very good word.
Yeah. Of
your
of
last
soul.
two songs.
So-
Your last two songs have made the Robsters proud because.
Oh yeah, my next.
They're definitely
the rest of my list will make them proud.
Okay, because they're definitely your own things.
Oh yeah, I go.
You were doing so good up to number 2. Then we got in the cut line, and you were like, "This is where I experiment."
So this is where I go
This is
Robster.
where I
Yeah, the
do
rest of my
what
list
I'm
is
into.
Robster territory. So
Okay, so that means it's time for my honorable mention.
ooh, I'm excited.
The honorable
about mine.
mention, for those new to this show, is a song that maybe we forgot about or hadn't heard in a really long time, or we appreciate more now than maybe we did when we was youngins.
Yeah.
So my honorable mention comes from a band considered by many to be yacht rock royalty, although there are definitely some differing opinions about that I found on the internet. And honestly, it's a song that you already played.
So we had 2. Oh yeah, I love this song. Like I said, I could get into Steely Dan.
This breakdown chorus is just pretty fantastic.
Yeah, my favorite part, like I said, at the end though.
So when I was doing some research, I was just going over songs and I played this, and I honestly probably haven't heard it since the early 80s. And I was like, I heard it. Oh, I know that. Instantly I knew. So you played it already. It's Hey 19 by Steely Dan. I'm going to say a couple other things you didn't mention.
That's all right.
You probably researched it. I just wrote it down. So this was released November 21st, 1980. You may have said that. Off their album Gaucho.
Yes, I did not say that.
Okay, so it was off Gaucho, their most popular album. This song hit number 10 in the U.S. Hot 100. The song is about, as you said, a man in his early 30s. It's tied with songs Peg and Ricky Don't Lose That Number. I like Ricky Don't Lose That Number. Steely Dan's longest running chart hit. Now, at the beginning, I said there are some differing opinions on Steely Dan being yacht rock or not. It seems as though it's pretty split online. I actually went into some Reddit things and I found a lot of stuff. Some are saying their sound definitely falls right into the yacht rock category. Others are vehemently against that, saying they are too complex, utilizing jazz and rock styles that go beyond the simple, easy breezy tones of classic yacht rock. One prevailing thought is that the McDonald factor, which you also didn't mention. Michael McDonald was with Steely Dan prior to going to the Doobie Brothers. So Michael McDonald, some people attribute to when he joined and influenced some of their music as what steered them towards the yacht rock genre because it's Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
The man himself wrote with and provided background vocals on several songs for the group. Whatever category you have them fall into, their songs are catchy, they're not too aggressive, and they're very easy to listen to, like this Hey 19.
Yeah.
So for me, they're going to stay yacht rock for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll let everybody else on Reddit and online say it is or it is not what it is.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
so we got McDonald with Steely Dan, got McDonald with the Doobie Brothers, McDonald on his own, McDonald singing background for Kenny Loggins, McDonald singing background and helping write some stuff for Michael Jackson. I mean, Michael McDonald, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? Like you can't get away from the guy.
Michael McDonald.
It's like 30 degrees at this point. Like every band that has a soft rock touch, he's in there. In fact, there are some things I read that he even sat in with Toto a couple times for some things.
Oh yeah.
So McDonald just kind of rules the roost. But I had him at number 2.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So all right, that means
my honorable mention.
Your honorable mention.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
I'm assuming this is gonna be weird. Back to the funk. I've heard this. This is closer than the other 2.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
And the genealogy of this song and yacht rock is legit. It's important.
I kind of like this.
Oh, I love it.
Again, what I'll say is there are a lot of his singing style, and there's a lot of elements in the background that I would say Yacht Rock. But that bass line is really funking it up a lot, and so it's kind of thrown it close to not being in that category. But I
picked him as honorable mention because he's listed on. This is Boz Scaggs.
The Boz. Name of the song?
It's called JoJo.
Nice.
Yeah. It came out in 80. And it was actually listed. Boz Scaggs was listed in your little commercial there at the very beginning.
Yes, he was.
He talks about Boz Scaggs. So he was listed. I started kind of exploring him a little bit. Holy cow. I actually bought one of his albums already because I like it. So his JoJo, Boz Scaggs, his genre is considered jazz rock or post-disco. The song talks about a pimp working on Broadway. Picked at number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100, released in 80 as the second single from his album Middleman. The album was, it went platinum status. He hired members of the band Toto as sessions musicians and shared songwriting credits with them. The album reached number 8 on the Billboard 200 albums chart. 2 singles from that album reached the Hot 100, Breakdown, Dead Ahead, which I almost picked, and number 15, and JoJo at number 17. He got his name where a classmate wanted to give him a weird nickname, so they started with Bosley. Then it went to Boswell. Then it went to Bosworth, and he was later shortened to Boz. He was a bandmate of Steve Miller in a band called the Ardells in the 60s, and the Steve Miller Band from 67 to 68. His first album, Silk Degrees, received a Grammy nomination. His second album is on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. His 1998 album, Come On Home, and his album Out of the Blues were both nominated for Best Contemporary Blues Album. And his 2015 album, A Fool to Care, reached number 1 on the Billboard Top Blues Albums chart. So he's a thing. So I'm going to skip down here. In 2010, Scaggs joined Donald Fagen, who's also a big yacht rock guy, and Michael McDonald for concerts entitled The Dukes of September Rhythm Review. The Dukes of September was an American supergroup featuring the three, Scaggs, Fagen, and McDonald. Donald Fagen and Michael McDonald began working together in the mid-1970s when McDonald would collaborate with Steely Dan.
There you go.
So
it all comes back around.
Yeah.
And
Boz Scaggs.
Michael McDonald.
That's right. Boz Scaggs' blues stuff, killer.
Good.
It's really good.
I like it.
So I like him a lot now.
Good.
Some of his stuff, it's too
much.
Yeah. But his blues stuff, killer. Anyway.
All right. So that means
Boz Scaggs.
Your honorable mention, my honorable mention. That takes us to our number 1. So I think we need a proper intro.
Oh.
103.6 The Panda.
All right. So you've been talking. You're like, oh, this is number 2. Oh, this is your number 3.
Yeah.
So you've been over there. Oh, what's his number 1 song going to be? So my number 1 song has to be from Yacht Rock icon.
Okay.
Christopher Cross. Has to be.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
you haven't done any Christopher Cross.
Now the easy answer, Rob. The easy answer for me when putting this list together would have been this.
This is Sail Away.
I don't know. Just Sailing.
Sailing.
I don't know that there is a more yacht rocky sounding song than this.
And you're not going with this one?
I could have had this as number 1. This is not my number 1. But this would have been the easy answer because there's a lot of lists.
But it's not fun.
Oh, it's really good. There's a lot of lists that is everybody's, a lot of people on a lot of lists, VH1, everyone, they put that as their number 1 yacht rock song of all time because it's so soft. It's so they say it's a perfect song. But for me, not my favorite Christopher Cross song. So when picking at number 1, I had to go with not only my favorite song, this is my favorite soft / yacht rock song, but one of my favorite songs of the entire decade, as it turns out.
I couldn't think of it. This is it. Oh, yeah, Christopher
So
Cross.
good.
How did I not? Ride Like the Wind. How did I not?
Wait for it.
He's everywhere.
And who shows up again? This has a killer guitar solo in it too, by the way. And here it is. Some horns too.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, this feels good. This is about cruising. All right. So
All right.
that is my number one song.
That's really
That
good.
is Ride Like the Wind by the one and only Christopher Cross, who I think is McDonald is the soft rock godfather, but Christopher Cross is like he's getting propped up. He's the one, right? He's putting out some of these songs. So this was the debut single for Cross in February of 1980 as the lead single from his Grammy-winning self-titled album. And yes, as we've mentioned, Michael McDonald is back again singing background vocals. It was number 2 on the U.S. Hot 100 for 4 consecutive weeks, but could not climb to number 1 over Blondie's Call Me. Tough. It's a good song. As stated in the beginning, background vocals provided by McDonald and Cross plays the guitar piece. The song tells the story of a convicted criminal on the run to Mexico. Cross said that he wrote the song while high on LSD and wrote the words on the way from Houston to Austin. So I just wrote it in the car.
Christopher Cross was a baddie.
I know, you didn't think he was, but he is. The lyrics actually are not ones often heard on adult contemporary radio. However, the musical arrangement and instrumentation led it to becoming a soft rock classic. Because if you really listen to the words, he's shooting people, he's running from the law, there's a lot of that. McDonald did not know who Christopher Cross was, but he did know his producer, Michael Omartian, from their days working with Steely Dan. When Cross and Omartian realized they needed another voice for the answer vocals, Michael quickly got the call. However, they all got together. This is, for me, the ultimate soft/yacht rock song. It has a little rock to it, but not too crazy, and it's just fun to sing along to. There's this SCTV sketch. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it stars Rick Moranis. It's in the early 80s. And Rick Moranis, if you watch the real video, Michael McDonald's driving around town or whatever. So they have Rick Moranis driving around town, but then he has to get to the studio to do his part. So he comes running in the studio. He runs to the microphone. He goes, such a long way to
I've
go.
seen that.
And then he starts to leave, but then he has to come back and do it again. So he keeps going back and forth. I can't explain it, but it's really funny.
Well,
like he just comes in and does that one part, and then he's got to take off.
And I actually read an article that referenced that because it talked about he was everywhere.
He was,
and so he was
so busy.
He was out of breath because he was running from session to session, doing background.
Such a long way to go.
Yeah.
So looking at my list today, just McDonald on his own, McDonald backing up, McDonald riding. But as we've alluded to,
I didn't include,
Michael is everywhere. He's literally included in.
Now
all
I
of
didn't
this.
include any Michael McDonald, but he was clearly
he's back there.
He was influenced.
Yeah,
or he influenced them.
I want to go back to The Sopranos here. I feel like you write a song, you think it's soft rocky, you have to go into this room and Michael's sitting at a table. Let me see a song, and then he looks at it.
The lights are turned down,
and if he blesses it, you're good. If he doesn't like it, you end up like Tommy on Goodfellas, where he just shoots you in the head. Nope, that doesn't work. It's not smooth enough. You need more piano. Go get those guys from Toto to play some drums. I need a smoother song from you. So, all right. Well, that means it's time for your number one. I'm interested.
Okay, so my number one doesn't play by the rules.
Of course it doesn't.
Yeah, it's not even in the 80s.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know. I completely
botched it.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and it for a lot of reasons. So it's a song that came out in 72.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
I'm like way
didn't
off.
even get close.
Nope. Didn't care.
All right.
There's a port on a western bay.
You just pulled the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack and you're like, hey, let's do this. It's good.
Just
violated every rule.
Talk about
I had lots of songs I could have got. I would have had Baker Street from Jerry Rafferty. Come on, man.
I had
you hung me out to dry here.
This song would never make a list. So I had to, and I got a sentimental reason.
You say that, but I had already generated in my head that we were going to go down the road and we were going to go to the 70s to do what influenced these 80s songs.
No.
And this would have been perfect.
No.
But now you've screwed it all up.
Oh, I love this song.
All right. It's really good.
So
it's really good, but it doesn't count.
No.
You get a number one with an asterisk. You're like
That's fine. That's
you're like
fair.
when Mark McGuire hit the 60-second home run. You get an asterisk.
Well, actually, that's fair. My number two would have been my number one. So I can't tell you why. Eagles. Okay. But anyway, so this is Brandy, parentheticals, You're a Fine Girl, 1972, by American pop rock band Looking Glass. Mm-hmm. It reached number one on the Billboard Hot 100 back in 1972. So, but this version that you just heard was Big Head Todd and the Monsters.
Oh,
yeah.
That wasn't even them?
No, wasn't even them.
Okay.
The lyrics tell of Brandy, a barmaid in a busy seaport harbor town which serves 100 ships a day. Though lonely sailors flirt with her, she pines for one who has long since left her because he claimed his life. His love and his lady was the sea. It was featured in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017. Family's a big Marvel fan. Upon the release of the single record, the name Brandy became increased in popularity as a girl's name in the United States. According to the data from the Social Security Administration, Brandy was the 353rd most popular name in 1971, 140th in 1972, and in 1973 it became the 82nd. And then actually Barry Manilow had a 74 song called Mandy, which was actually called Brandy, but he had to change the lyrics of it because he didn't want to compete with the other one.
Yeah.
But I picked this because this is one of my wife's favorite songs.
Okay. Sitting
on the back porch, this is playing in the background, and
I like it.
Having a beer, and
I like the song. Yeah. We have a simple formula on this show.
I knew it was breaking the rules.
It's
I
not
knew
even
it.
breaking. You just
it doesn't even follow.
it. But yeah, if it had at least been like 79, I would have been like, okay, a little 78-ish. I could have lived. No, just we weren't even born.
And then the remake was like 2017, so I couldn't use either one of them.
I got you.
So anyway, so there you go.
I couldn't use any other one, either of them. Parentheticals. I did it anyway.
I know. I even told my wife as I was making it, I said, yeah,
he's going to go.
He's going to hate it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it anyway.
I guess you'll get permission from my wife again. Oh, that's okay. You're going to do it. So, all right. Well, solid number one. Just it's got an asterisk.
It's not 80s
because it doesn't count. Yeah. But it's still a good song people will want to listen to that are super old. So, except our folks that are more 90s kids will be like, "What is that?" Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so those are our lists. What do we think in the end of our lists?
I like it. I think this is one of the first times that I try to always do it, but as I'm making my playlist, I'm trying to think the totality of our playlist.
Oh yeah,
thinking of what you're going to put, what I'm going to put, and I think this is a really good list of soft rock, yacht rock stuff in the background. So.
Well, I kind of think of myself as a yacht rock, aficionado, a guy who knows these things.
Yeah.
So some of the fans may be wondering, how could you leave Toto off of this?
Yeah.
And I'll just be honest, I love Rosanna. And it fits this genre really well. I've had it on another show. So I was trying to not play songs that I had previously played on other shows. Bertie Higgins with Key Largo. Key Largo is all. I know.
Did you have that on one?
I've had it on a show before, one of our Billboard countdown. So I didn't include that. Yeah. But there were several. Paul Davis, he was all over soft rock in the early 80s, and he has some really good songs, but I've featured Paul Davis before. So for those of you, before you come for me on the yacht rock, folks, I know about the Toto. I know about them. Now, I don't think Africa is as soft rocky. I think it's a little different to me. Yeah. Some people would argue it is, but I definitely think Rosanna is. And Rosanna, if I had not used it before, would have been in my top 10. It was really, it's an excellent song.
Yeah,
but I had used it before.
Rock, so. But I did see it on all the lists.
But there's another. It's in the late 70s from Toto, but it's called "Hold the Line." Really good song too, and very yachty. So yachty.
Wow.
Right? Little Yachty. Yeah. He likes soft rock too. Lil Yachty.
I don't think he does.
Yeah, I think he does.
Wow.
So, but that's why I didn't have a few of those artists on the countdown. So I was trying to feature some songs and artists.
And you were trying to stay in the 80s.
I did stay in the 80s. I cheated a smidge on that Kenny Loggins song, but it didn't hit the charts till the 80s.
That's okay.
So I won. But right. You just definitely
that's okay.
Did not.
I'll take the asterisk.
So. Yeah, you got the asterisk. You don't have to take it. It's already there. So, all right, fans. If you'd like to support the show, take a second, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done so already, and then share Totally 80s and 90s Recall with a friend so we can spread the fun and nostalgia and the smooth vibes far and wide. Also, you can reach out to the show on Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it these days. Subscribe to our Facebook page to interact with Rob and I and get updates about the show or message us on Instagram or TikTok. We also have a YouTube channel, so you can check out what Rob and I look like live. It's not that exciting, but we like to do it. And all these links will be included in everyone's favorite, the show notes.
The show notes. Disclose yourself, ye phantoms of the forgotten. The dance party of the decade is starting, and you're invited. Feeling like a girl in a port on a western bay, serving the whiskey and wine, working for the lonely sailors, talking about their homes. Are they always saying how you're a fine girl and telling you how good a wife you would be and that your eyes could steal a sailor away from the sea? If so, the Total 80s and 90s Recall podcast is the locket on a braided chain made of the finest silver from the north of Spain that bears the name of the one that you loved. Dave and I are the perfect complement to your listening experience and the perfect antidote to the modern life. We are the captain to your Tennille, the hall to your oats, the seals to your croft, and the doobie to your brothers.
Ooh.
I don't know if that works, but visit Totally 80s 90s Recall at podbean.com, and we will have you saying you're the bomb.com in no time. If it's knowledge you seek, send us an email at 80s90srecall@gmail.com. Consider Dave and I your nostalgic therapists.
Yes.
We'll help you relive the best memories of your life and help you solve problems you didn't know you had in a way you don't understand.
Well, and apparently we're renaming this Totally 70s, 80s, and 90s, 2000s Recall, according to Rob. So, well, finally, if you love the show, don't keep forgetting to give us a quick 5-star rating, and even better, add a review to tell us what you like about the podcast. We love reading those. Your contribution will allow Rob and I to be able to do magic each and every week and keep the greatness that was the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. We don't even know anymore. Coming strong every week. So,
Yeah.
do you have any closing thoughts?
I don't.
Really? I
not.
literally instructed you last week to have closing thoughts.
All right, here you go. I have something written.
Okay.
There you go. You might be asking yourself why Yacht Rock is important. Well, we hope today's episode helps you understand that Yacht Rock has a timeless appeal and that its classic sound and relatable themes have ensured its enduring popularity. It's also influential on later genres. Yacht Rock's smooth production and melodic approach have influenced subsequent genres like adult contemporary and smooth jazz. Let's not forget that nostalgic value. For many, Yacht Rock evokes memories of a simpler time, providing a sense of comfort and familiarity.
Ooh, that's a tough word.
That was tough.
You got it out, though.
In essence, Yacht Rock offers a musical escape, a reminder of a more carefree era. Its enduring popularity is a testament to its timeless appeal and its ability to evoke positive emotions.
There you go. You
There
did
you
have
go.
a closing
Yeah, I
thought.
did something.
You said, "Oh, I don't have anything."
Yeah, I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
I really shouldn't.
You should.
About,
Be nice if you did that more often.
I don't have
Seems
anything.
like you're putting some effort in that way. I do all the opening stuff. It'd be nice if there was a closing, right? So, all right. Well, it's time for us to sail off into the sunset on this week's episode, and only the rough waters we'll be hitting are the ice cubes clinking in our cocktails. We hope you've enjoyed a look back at our favorite 80s soft / Yacht Rock songs. If you like today's musical choices, we're going to provide you with links to Spotify, Apple, and Amazon playlists in the show notes. I've been listening to my playlist all week. It's so good. So if you like this genre, definitely get in on this. If you don't like this genre, play it. I bet by the end, you'll be hooked. Michael will take you home, and you can enjoy these tracks in full, and maybe they could be the soundtrack to your next vacation or root canal. Who knows where you'll hear these? Dentist in the dentist's office. So, well, if you're interested in checking out more 80s and 90s nostalgia, check out our back catalog of shows where we stick to the 80s and 90s. In fact, this time last year, we looked at the Billboard Hot 100 for this week in 1996. A lot of good songs on that one. Finally, a big shout out to you, our listeners. Whether you tune in for the first time or a longtime subscriber, we thank you for relaxing with us this week. Hopefully, we gave you a mellow hour or so of some laughs and memories and a couple pina coladas. And don't forget to catch all new episodes. Totally 80s and 90s Recall every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. What are we doing next week?
This is a good one. We're getting into October. We're going to start doing we're going to do a movie. 40th anniversary. I think of a movie that's pretty big in you and I's lives. Probably a lot of people in our Gen X lives. Ghostbusters, 1984.
Spooky.
I think, I don't know if it's spooky, but it's a little spooky. But we're doing Ghostbusters. Movie hand will be here. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good time.
I miss that guy.
So sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else?
I don't have
Are you
anything
looking
else.
forward to Ghostbusters?
I am looking forward to Ghostbusters.
That's good.
40 years.
40 years. So it came out when I was 8.
That's nuts.
And it came out when you were 7.
We're old.
I still saw it. Still loved it. Still love it today. It's going to be a good time. So
That'll be good.
Fancy goodbye.
No fancy goodbye.
Christopher's going to take us home.
Take us home. I don't know this.
You will when you hear the chorus.
You got a voice, man.
There it is. Think it might just work out this time.
So positive. But then
That's what Christopher does.
He's high on LSD.
He has the perfect voice for something.